We're live. Are we live? Oh
We're
my God.
live. I think we're live.
Hey,
I hope
everybody.
we're
If you can see us, let us know, please.
live. We got there eventually, only 50 minutes
Yeah.
late. These things
Yeah.
happen.
But, we're two women, so we can be late, right?
We can be
Okay.
late. Of course we
Hey,
can.
Michael. Okay, so you can see us.
Yes.
Yeah. Good job. Okay. I even forgot now what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, me too. It feels like another era.
What the heck? Okay, guys. I just want everybody to know this is not as easy as it looks, even if you prepared the day before. So, thank you for joining us and my chat. And this is something new that I want to start doing. And Daniela has graced me to be my first interviewee on Bigfoot. And I just love her. She is a very wise, I feel, and special woman, and she has a lot of strength, and she also has a lot of knowledge of and behind the scenes on Bigfoot, which is something I'm very interested in. And we met, I think, when you did a first video of my story years ago, right?
About
And
4 years ago.
4 years ago, and that's
Mm.
how we first met. And somehow we just keep coming back into each other's lives. We just, like, a year goes by and then we think, oh, we should do something together, and then another year goes by, oh, we should do something together. So now here we are, we're doing
We're
something
here.
together.
We're here, yeah.
Yep.
And thank
And
you for
yeah,
inviting me on.
yeah, thank you. So would you mind, because a lot of my audience has come over from Hidden Existence, and when I was on my video, and when I was on your show, um, do you mind just touching base of your your past and your history and your two channels that you're on?
Well, really, it all started with Bigfoot Odyssey. Or, I mean, before that, I was just like everybody else, going on YouTube, looking at videos, and I'd never looked into Bigfoot. It just hadn't crossed my mind. It just didn't even think about it. In England, it's just, I mean, it's such a small subject in some ways as well that it definitely was something I'd never even thought of. And I think I was looking at videos of ancient technology and UFOs, maybe something like that. And this recommendation video kept coming up in YouTube, and it was Man Talks to Bigfoot. And I thought,
Yeah.
that sounds ridiculous. That's what I thought at the time. What the heck? Man records Bigfoot talking, and what the heck is a Bigfoot? I didn't even, I ignored it like several times, and they kept popping up, and I thought one day I'll just click on it, and it was Sasquatch, Ontario, with his
Oh yeah.
experience with Nefertia, and
Nefertiti. Yeah, yeah,
so I watched all his stuff because his videos are really, really good.
yeah.
And
Sure.
then I started looking into this a bit more, and found that there was like two camps in this. There was like a flesh and blood camp, and there was this spiritual camp of what Bigfoot might be, what some people might call woo. I mean, it's not a great word to use, but um, so I was really kind of like confused about what is this thing? There's no information out there. There's just like endless
Hmm.
videos of people walking through woods and stuff. And so I didn't really know what to think about it. And then one day, Bigfoot Odyssey puts a documentary out, the first documentary, and I watched it and I was like, wow, this is like what I loved about it was that Kerry seemed so down to earth, and his wife Linda, they seemed really like genuine people, and they were talking to really down to earth, genuine people who'd had experiences. And I thought, okay, this now makes me feel like there's something here. Like I kind of trust this guy and his wife,
Hmm.
So I left a comment and said, "What a great video, documentary." I didn't want it to end really. I wanted to keep, just watching it and for it to be last forever kind of thing because it was so good.
Yeah.
And he put out several documentaries after that, and he'd always leave a comment and he'd always reply. And eventually, I started going into the Facebook group, and um, there was a few hiccups in there, and I said to him, this group doesn't really like reflect who you are, because there was a lot of, you know, I'll be honest, there's a lot of pictures, like blurry pictures that mean
Yeah.
that are just not good enough when it's coming to evidence, and
Yep.
there's no context to them. Sometimes people are just looking at video or photos that they took when they were out, and then they get back home and see a black shadow and go, oh,
Yeah.
that's a, you know, you have to give a
Yeah.
little bit more. And so he said, well, you know, run the group then, if you think, you know, you can put some sort of standard on what comes in. And so I did. I ended up running the group for him on Facebook. And after a while, he did a live Facebook feed that was really popular. Like loads of people in the group were watching him on this feed, and I'd rung him afterwards and I said, you know, people really like to see you on the screen. I said, and it takes so long between your documentaries. Why don't you do something else? You know, why don't you pop up a bit more? You know, because people like to see you. People like to, you know, see you going live. So he thought about it, and he came up with the researchers report, which was going to be a series of, you know, shows where we interviewed researchers and asked them about their experiences, and also so you could get to know these people a bit more, who you're watching on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of see one side, just what they're showing, but we don't really get to know these people. So that was the idea, and it just, you know, went from there. We ended up doing 2, 3, 4 nights a week sometimes for nearly 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, Kerry was pushing me to have my own channel, Hidden Existence, which I eventually got going. And like you said, you were maybe the first few, the fourth guest, I think, on mine.
Yeah. That's so
And
cool.
yeah, and you know, we were doing that, and in 2022, everything just went really wrong. I was really ill. I ended up in hospital for 5 weeks, and the day before I got discharged, Kerry lost his life. He got
Yeah.
killed in a truck accident, and
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
that was it. It was
Yeah.
real shock, you know, and also
Yeah.
I never met Kerry, but I knew him really well, and
Mhm.
that would have been really the icing on the cake if I could have met him, you know, in person rather than
Yeah.
being 3,500 miles away. But we worked together for, you know, 4 or 5 years, and we just did it. We made it happen. We got on. We were really good friends, and you know, it's just really tragic what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Because
yeah,
you never know. And to tell the audience, and did you see my cut back here? It says carry on. I bought a
yeah,
cat.
I've
Did
got
you see
mine there up there.
it? And Kerry was because when I first had my apparition of Sasquatch, I didn't understand it either. I knew of Sasquatch or Bigfoot, but I didn't know about them. So I started researching online, and I came across Kerry's channel, and I came across Colorado Bigfoot, and him and I talked several times, and that's how I kind of learned history and learned what people were seeing in the field, because I wouldn't go out into the field. There's no way I'm going out there by myself. But to listen to these hunters and the men, basically, and some women that go out and discover the actual tangible Bigfoots. And I do agree that I think 90% of the photos are pareidolia. Is that what you call it? Because you don't know. That's just a shadow in a tree. It could be a stump. It could be a half fallen tree. And some of the eye shine that they do post, some of them it's really low to the ground. You don't know if that's a fox. You don't know if that's a coyote. You don't know if it's an owl in the tree. You just don't really know. Um, Now, if they show red eye shine, that's a whole different story. But um, and then I think I just lost track of going into Sasquatch because now I'm going into a whole new realm of space people and things like that. And so I kind of lost track of just watching the Sasquatch movement. And then I don't know what happened, that I just had one day, I just thought about him and I went to his channel and then found out that he had passed away. And I went, no. I mean, he's such a big, wasn't he like this tall, big guy, just strong guy? And so I had to go down that rabbit hole, like, what happened? Did he have a heart attack? What happened? And so um, once I connected with that, I really felt, since I talked to dead people, I felt he wanted to communicate. And that's why I came across him again in my life, because he wanted me to say something. And I gave all that to you, and it's privately for you. And if you ever want to share it with his wife, that, I mean, it's just whatever you want to do. I feel he's gone now, but he wanted to share his words and his last thoughts. And I feel honored that he chose me, because he rejected my story. That's why I went to your channel, because he goes, your story's too long. I'm not going to read that. Here, go to Daniela. And I go, fine, don't read it. It's okay. So I just think he was a really special man. And it really touched me that he had passed away. It did touch my heart a lot. And I think the Bigfoot movement is really going to miss him, because he was honest and caring. And I think some of those researchers don't have that quality, if you understand what I'm saying.
Kerry wasn't really a researcher. He was, initially he was just trying to work out what the heck had happened to him, what he saw.
Will
And
will you share his story?
yeah, in early 2000, maybe 1999, Kerry had lost a lot of people in his family, like 6 or 7 members of his family in 1 year. And he kind of closed himself off, I guess, in a way. And he ended up hunting on this land for many years. And so he was there all the time. That's all he was doing, was deer hunting all the time and spending time on his own. And, he'd say as well, he wasn't a good guy to be around, really, his state of mind and stuff like that. And in 2006, he decided that day that he was going to go turkey hunting instead of deer hunting. He found a trail where these turkeys hung out, and he set himself up for I guess shooting one of them or whatever they do. We don't hunt over here, so but I guess he was getting himself ready anyway. And he noticed that there was something in his peripheral vision coming around to the side of him. There was some trees there and stuff, and what he initially thought was someone who might have belonged to the land that he was renting. He thought it was an overweight guy with like kind of sort of, I guess, scruffy clothes on. I mean, it was hard for him to work out. And he was annoyed that they were on the land, because obviously he's shooting. So he sort of put his hand up to say, hey, I'm over here, and don't shoot me and I won't shoot you, kind of thing. And this thing kind of came round, and it came between these trees, and it squared up to a tree. And he realized at that point that he wasn't looking at a human guy. This thing had hair coming off its arms. The tree was swaying at the top. I mean, this thing was really strong. And he, panicking, I guess, or not knowing what to do, he started to move his hand down to his gun, just as I guess, an instinct to do. And this thing almost said, shouted at him. And he'll translate it saying no, but it let out some vocals to him. And so the next thing, this thing is kind of babbling at him. And I'll put a link actually up in the comments, maybe, and people can hear his sounds if they want to, and what happens. Yeah. And so, yeah, this thing is like shouting at him. He said in some form of language, but didn't just
Mm-hmm.
sound like screaming. It was articulated, you know,
Mm-hmm.
noise of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went away. And he, made his way back to his truck, praying to God that he would never kill anything again in his life, never be, say anything bad in his life. I mean, he would be the greatest, goodest person. And he got out of there and he never went back. He never stepped back in the woods again for about 12
Mm-hmm.
years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, he went to work in the oil field. He said, "There's no trees there. There's no, there's nothing out there in Texas. It's
Yeah.
just sand." And it changed his life. He kept it for a long time, to himself. And then when he met his wife Linda, um, he obviously felt comfortable enough to tell her about this, what was going on, because he was struggling. He had PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of how his body would tighten up when he was driving in certain places. He'd say if he was ever going down in a dip and there was trees around him, that was a really triggering feeling for him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I saw him move on from his PT. Well, I won't say move on, but he got into it and he was able to deal with it much
Yeah.
better because he was
Yeah.
talking to other people who
Mm-hmm.
got it, who understood exactly. And you know, the community, we created a really special place there where people could come and share and not be laughed at, and we gave them a platform to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
it became normal to talk about this subject,
Mm-hmm.
not being laughed at or someone you know
Yeah.
sniggering at us. It became a platform where it was just really normal. There was an issue here. People are struggling with this, how they're dealing
Mm-hmm.
with it. He wanted
Mm-hmm.
to raise awareness. He wanted
Mm-hmm.
people to know that even if you don't, believe it, just keep in mind that you could be out hiking, you could be out hunting. There's a possibility, and if you're aware of it. And we had what I would call like a success story. We had a guy on who witnessed one when he was hunting, and he said, "Before I saw it, I didn't believe any of it. My brother used to watch your shows, the Bigfoot Odyssey, used to listen to Sasquatch Chronicles, and I just used to laugh it off." He said, I didn't believe a word of it. And his brother made him watch some of them. So we got into it. He watched a little bit. Anyway, one day he's out hunting and he spots one of these things and he's like, "Whoa, I
Yeah.
know exactly what this is." And
Yeah.
he said it changed his experience. He wasn't shocked. He wasn't frightened. He couldn't get his phone out, but he was like, "Okay, I'm aware of this." He had a good experience with it in a sense of he knew what it was. He knew exactly. He didn't have that wondering, did I see it? Didn't I? What
Mm-hmm.
is this thing?
You
He had a
know
lot
what
of
it was.
he knew what it was. And so
Yeah.
that's really what Kerry wanted to do, was to raise awareness. And he was good at talking to people, and he was a friend to everybody. He would listen to anyone. He would have his phone number out.
Mm-hmm.
He was always talking to somebody. So we did create a really good kind of, safe space, I would say. And unfortunately, his presence is really missed because he was
Yeah.
really the glue to
Yeah.
keeping us
Yeah.
all bonded together,
He was.
and now it's like a,
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
can
his
of
channel is
worms
still up, right?
to use, hey?
His channel is still up. It's still
Yeah, his channel's still up. All the shows are
okay.
on there.
Okay. So people can still watch
You can
everything.
watch
He
everything
has
that he did. Yes,
years and years of information, and his documentaries are amazing. I
yes,
watched the
she's
last
good.
documentary, and that was really good. It
Yeah,
was really good. And I look at him as more of the spiritual sense of his meeting that Sasquatch when he was turkey hunting, and that instance, even though it was so traumatic for him, it changed his life forever, and he couldn't go back. He had to go forward. And I think that is amazing, even just by viewing this creature. And then he went on a mission kind of to find out more, and it changed his life.
Mm. Yeah, and who he was and everything, and how he valued life after that experience. I mean, he thought he wasn't going to walk out of the woods that day.
Yeah.
And so it did. It gave him, it humbled him, in a big way.
Yeah.
And yeah, he developed. It did change his life,
Mhm.
changed everything for him. And, his documentaries, like I say, he was into that filming, the editing stuff. He absolutely loved it. And so he had this passion, but he was a really busy guy. He worked big, long days and
Hmm. Had a
weeks away
family.
from home, had a family.
Yep.
There was a lot to his life, but he created something and people loved him and followed him, and that was a good feeling to him. He felt like he was connecting with people. And so when he did pass away, I mean, it just shook everybody,
Yeah.
literally the whole community.
Yeah.
It was really incredible, how big a hole he left.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's still there.
Yeah. But what a great experience you had with him, though.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've
And
learned so much and about
yeah.
America, all the places,
Yeah.
all the accents, all the yeah, all the different stuff I wouldn't have even experienced if
Yep.
I was still sat at home just looking at UFO videos on YouTube, like
Yeah.
we've all done. Yeah, I got to see the other side. I get to see the other side of through the screen
Yep.
of what he was like. So yeah, it was a good experience. It's just,
Mhm.
really sad how it ended.
Yeah.
But
We'll
that's,
try to. Yeah.
we can't
Um,
plan our lives, can we? We can't. We don't
no,
see these
and
things.
I get what you're saying when you wish you had met him, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and you guys were so far away. But you had a really fun relationship, though,
Mm,
and like best friends, and so that's
yeah.
super, super
Mm.
awesome.
Yeah, and his wife's lovely, Linda, keep in
Mhm.
touch with her. But for her, Bigfoot isn't as big as what it was to Kerry.
Mhm.
So yeah. But yeah, the channel's there, everything's there. And when people watch, they'll see what kind of guy he is. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, it was a great experience. I would never in a million years have thought I would even be on a show, let alone like start producing and co-hosting and doing all that. So
I
yeah,
know.
it's changed stuff for me as well.
You did a lot. You did a lot.
Yeah,
So, what was the most um, fun show that you can remember that you guys did?
fun show.
You've done so many.
I
Or
guess.
some, you told me a story about one guy, um, and it was actually super funny. And actually, I can't remember what you said.
Oh, about the technical difficulties we were
Yes.
having.
Will you share that? That was really good.
So
Do you
generally,
mind?
we meet people before the show so we can check that everything's working the street like we did tonight, except
Mhm.
it didn't work, but it did eventually. Um, I met up with this guy earlier, and I'm really struggling to communicate with him. There's a massive delay. He lives like in the sticks, like in the middle of nowhere, with the faintest internet connection ever. And so I was going, "Can you hear me?" He's like, "Can you hear me?" He's like, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me?" Just back and forth. And then Kerry pops on, and it's with three ways of going, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?" Like Kerry's going, he can hear you, he can't hear me. And I was like, you talk to him. I'm like, I'm trying. Anyway, I'm saying to him, when you're using StreamYard, you need to just have one tab open. You shouldn't have anything else open because it'll interfere with it. And
Speaking
he
of,
said, "Yeah, I think I've only got one open." I said, "So you haven't got any other windows open?" And he looked around. He He said, no, I've got no windows open. Me and Kerry are just like dying inside laughing. And I was like, no windows on your computer.
That's,
No, not everyone is very technical, and I get that. But it was just so
really,
funny how he did
oh,
that, looking around for his, see if his windows are open. But
yeah, that
I
was
guess
good.
our fun shows are usually like the Christmas shows and the Halloween specials that we did, because we had
Hmm.
a variety of guests on, from psychics to people going to haunted houses and people who are interested in UFOs. So we've
Yeah.
had a lot. We did a lot. We did over 400 shows, I think. So it's a
Hmm.
lot to um, pick anyone out, really. But I
Yeah.
guess they were all fun. They were all fascinating. Every
Yeah.
time we finished a show, it'd be like, wow,
Yeah.
that was really good. And so, yeah, I guess I enjoyed the drawing Bigfoots. That I used to
Hmm.
put a show on called Drawing Bigfoot. We had someone on and an artist,
What
and
was it? What was that
yeah,
guy's name? That gentleman's
Larry
name?
Batson. Larry
Okay.
Batson.
Okay.
He was a wildlife educator for 50 years nearly. He was well known in his field, and he sadly passed away last year in
Oh.
September. He had Parkinson's. All the shows he did with us, he had Parkinson's, and he absolutely loved doing it because it really gave him almost to exercise his mind, and it kind of kept him in with, you know. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I
Nice.
appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Very
appreciate
nice.
But yeah, Larry was amazing, and yeah, sadly Parkinson's, just took over, and so that was sad as well with Larry going. But they were fun shows. They were great shows because we never
Hmm.
knew. We didn't always knew who was what descriptions we were gonna get on a couple of times. Um,
Hmm.
One was just like the most far out description that
Really?
Larry had to draw, which is nothing like a Bigfoot. Looks absolutely nothing like a Bigfoot. But this guy, saw what he saw, and one of the guys came on, and he said it just looked like the Hulk. And I said, okay, but you need to kind of describe.
You look
We
like the
start at
Hulk.
the eyes. Let's start at the eyes and work our way around. And he went, just get a picture. If you look at a picture of the Hulk, and we're like, that's not how we do the show. You're coming on to describe what you saw, and then Larry draws it. And he's like, we're not going to draw the Hulk, right? You're going to have to describe it. And it was almost like pulling, teeth. Um, so
That's
when you
fun.
when you're live, you don't know what's going to happen, and that's the thing.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it can be fun, but other times you're like, I'm here. There's no shutting the door here. We've got to just keep going. So it's good.
Yeah.
It's character building, if
Yeah.
anything. But,
I think
yeah,
because a lot of your guys that you would talk to were people hunters, people that lived out in the country, and I think you had some colorful language a lot on your show, where you had to tell them, "Oh no, no, don't say that," or I think I've seen that before on Kerry's show.
we tried to keep it family
Hmm.
friendly,
Yeah.
but there'd be
Yeah.
the odd alert out. Whereas on Hidden
Yeah.
Existence, I used to have a swear jar. I used to do all right with that. So you could swear if you wanted to, but you'd have to pay.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, what else did you want to share on? Well, let's talk about your channel for a minute.
Mm,
Perry talked you into developing your channel, and you've had your channel for how long?
probably like 4 years now.
And you are doing something really special on your channel. Do you want to talk about the new avenue that you're going now?
Yeah, at the moment, I mean, I've just had a little bit of a break because I've got some stuff on to do at the. I've got stuff on as life, happens, doesn't
Yeah,
it? But
yeah,
I'm wanting to. Well, I have been doing is taking people's experience and just allowing the viewer or the listener to just listen to their experience. And I feel that by allowing them to talk in their own time, you get a really good account of what happened. When we do interview people, we tend to interrupt them and go, "Oh, well, what did you think of that?" Or could it have been that? And we can end up steering off the path of where the storyteller was going originally, you know, trying to tell their encounter. So I feel like people doing it that way can just think of everything they need to think of and follow their own timeline without any interruptions. And, you know, I like to hear the whole encounter. I don't actually like interrupting. I know we do it because we're interviewing. So anyway, that's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to put images behind it and tell the story, you know, giving some sort of hint to the scene. And I know they're not the spot on or anything, but they kind of just help the story go along, you know. And I like editing, I like doing that sort of thing. So it take a while to make, but I enjoy doing them. So yeah, I've got another one in the making, so hopefully that will be out maybe next week.
And it's with really good picture set, and you have music and then the person talking. So it has a great visual, and then the person, it's actually the person's voice that's telling the story. And the one that I thought was the most funniest is I don't know if she's an older lady, but her voice was older. And wasn't she the one pregnant
Pregnant, yeah.
in the forest, and she saw Sasquatch? And
Yeah.
she was very poignant on what she saw. And I went, whoa, she just said everything, what she saw. And then a female Sasquatch came up and shooed away the male Sasquatch from her,
Yeah.
I think. And then kind of chased her out of the forest a little bit.
She just let her go. She just let her go, but she
Yeah,
protected
it was
her pretty much.
awesome. It was awesome
Yeah.
because people
Yeah.
don't talk about everything. They like go over some things and they don't say everything. And she just let it go. And you're going, wow, that was probably real. You know, I mean, it's just so real on what she saw. And then she saw, was it the same Sasquatch in her window?
That was another
Remember?
one. That
Oh,
was
was that a
another
different
one.
one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So,
yeah, you know, you think about it. Why would that lady make that story up? You know, I'm
yeah.
sure she had better things to do on a Saturday night than sit with us and tell this story, you know, for no
Yeah.
reason. And you can tell as
Yeah.
well. And this is why it's important to listen to people's experience, because these
Mhm.
photos and videos are not enough.
Mhm.
What we really need
Mhm.
is when you're listening to the person and you can tell that clearly something has happened to them. And
Mhm.
that's all we've got really is solid. And it's not even solid evidence, it's anecdotal evidence at this point, you know. But without those stories, we wouldn't really know anything about these things apart
Mhm.
from tracks.
Mhm.
What else have we got? You know, the Patterson footage. Uh,
Yeah.
really struggling. You know,
Yeah.
if it
I was
wasn't for
just
Kerry, I think I
yeah.
would struggle to believe. And I don't no disrespect to other people, but he was really the one where I trusted him. I believed his
Mhm.
story 100%. And if he's saying it's out there, then it's out there. And
Mhm.
without
Mhm.
him, I wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I really hope that we can eventually have some sort of evidence, maybe, to kind of just put the record straight with all this speculation and these arguments. I mean, it's the worst environment I've ever been in at the moment. The community, like, you know, eating each other up.
Mhm.
They will just attack
Yeah.
people for having opinions, and
Yeah.
nobody knows what the truth is.
No.
There's no experts. There's nobody knows. You have to be totally open minded to suggestions and opinions, and you know, if you don't agree, move on. You don't have to create this
And
environment where
you want to know what? There's no expert on it. People
exactly.
say they're experts on these things, and you're going, how can you be an expert when we're not standing there talking to one face to face? And all we know is stories, people's recollection. We have some good video, like one or two. Um, and so you kind of just, it's kind of like you just have to go with your own belief. You know, if someone tells a story, it's just like what I say. Do you believe it or do you not believe it? And then you just move on. Um, if it touches your soul, then good. And I listened to one, you know Sibylla. She also
Yeah.
does drawings of the Sasquatch, and she has a channel, and she was doing it for a while, and then she stopped, and now she's back. And she talked to a guy today that actually was walking in the woods and came across the stream, and there was a child Sasquatch and a mother Sasquatch. The mother Sasquatch was sitting on the embankment, and the child was playing in the water. And he was working building stones. He was working building stones. He was laying on his belly, splashing, and the mom was just looking at him. And it was just such a sweet story because what he was trying to get across, and I did a painting of a mother and child Sasquatch in a loving fashion. That this, he says, what hit him, he wasn't scared, but what hit him was the love connection between the two, the mother and the child Sasquatch. And that the child walked over to the mom, and the mom put her hand on his head, and they just looked at each other like almost like a love connection. And so he says these aren't animal, these aren't creatures, they are some sort of being that is on this earth, and not anyone. I mean, I can tell you what I think they're on this earth for, but we haven't talked to it to communicate. And I think that's very interesting with Kerry, that he got verbiage out of one. And it knew, how did it know what a gun was? How did it know that he was putting his hand down on something that could take the Sasquatch's life? How did that Sasquatch know that? You know, you have to think about these circumstances, and then it told him no, but I think in a scream or but he said, I think I remember him saying that when it said that, it was like a sound wave or something hit him from it. And it
He
was
said it
just
was
like,
almost like a whip. He said it was almost like a whip, the sound of a whip, like the
really,
psh. Yeah,
wow.
like no. But he didn't say no, but that was his
But
interpretation.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it made a gesture. And,
Hmm.
the thing is, they could have been watching him for all the years he was there.
True,
And
true.
he was taking the deer, and they were like, okay, we'll let him take the deer. And then suddenly today he wants the turkeys. Oh no, we're going to have to. He thinks they may have made sound, they may have been making whistles. When he thinks back now, you
Hmm.
know, they were maybe trying to get him out of there many a time, and he just completely blanked all their
Hmm.
little efforts. And
Yeah,
maybe they thought, look, one of them is going to actually have to come up in front of him to get him out of here. One of us is going to have to show ourselves to him. Um, I don't know, but yeah, I think they know intent. I think a lot of animals as well. I'm not saying they're animals, I don't know, but a lot of creatures can sense your intent,
yeah.
very, very easily.
And I wonder if they could sense his anguish, if they have this telepathy, if they, I wonder if they could sense his whole angst, anguish, sadness, feeling of despair. I wonder if they sensed that, and it was watching him. And then when he was going to, threaten the Sasquatch life, it's saying no. And then just that effect, I think to kick him out of what he was had to be something super strong like that.
Mm,
And I think he's lucky. He was lucky to have that experience, to change his whole life, become successful in his life after that, and follow his dream,
mm.
and actually have a beautiful family and wife, and things got better, you know. And
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
and that's why I tell people, if they ever think, things are so bad, that wait, tomorrow will be a better day. And you sometimes just gotta wait, tomorrow will be a better day. So,
Yeah.
yep.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's the plan normally. Is you just have to. I always think everything will always turn out all right if you just allow um,
Time.
things to happen
Mhm.
organically.
Yeah.
In some cases, not always, but a lot of the time, when you're struggling to find an answer, maybe you should stop trying to find it and let it could just come to you. And
Mhm. Mhm.
we need to relax a little bit more, don't we? There's a lot of people that are very uptight, and the moment you start to stress about stuff, you're on a downhill kind
Yeah.
of path. Then you have to allow things to happen and accept this is it. Now, what do we do?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
um, that's me, I guess, kind of very pragmatic in that way. But yeah,
Mhm.
it changed his life and made
Yeah.
him, you know, the person I think he wanted to be.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know,
In time. Yeah.
so,
Yeah. So let's see. I had something else I was going to ask you. Oh, back to the Sasquatch Canada. What's his first name? I forget his first name.
Mike,
Mike.
Mike,
Yeah, I should know that. Um, yes, I've talked to him a few times also, and his is complicated because I think he's gotten so attacked also for his research, communication with Nef, what's her name? Her name?
Nefertia, Nefertia, I
Nefertia.
think. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And I just thought that the verbalization that Nefertia was learning from him, because he was actually teaching her English pretty much by talking to her,
Hmm.
and then the response. And when it said, "I love you, Mike," I think she said, "I love you, Mike."
Mm.
Oh, and also, I this is very interesting on Sasquatch Talk, is they talk on the inhale and they also talk on their exhale. So they had a guy do a review of the verbiage, and especially on his channel, that it couldn't be false because you could hear the exhale coming out, and the Sasquatch is able to talk on an exhale, which I don't know if you've ever tried to talk on an exhale, like put your voice
Mm.
air out. You can't really talk. So he thought that that was pretty interesting that they talk on their inhale and they talk on their exhale of breath.
Mm.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah. I did do a video about the hyoid, which is a bone that floats in the throat, and
Yeah.
it's the only bone that is suspended in muscle, basically.
Hmm.
When we're born, it's quite high up here, and that's why babies can breathe and drink milk at the same time without choking. And then as they get
Oh,
a little,
yeah.
and they can't talk at that point either. When it starts
Hmm.
to drop, um, they can start to form words. There's other things that are involved, but they can start to form words. In
Hmm.
apes and monkeys, it doesn't drop as low, and that's why they can only do the kind of vowel, if you will, noises. But they also
Mm-hmm.
have air sacs, and those air sacs blow up, and that's what gives them that big, strong.
Oh,
They really have to breathe in before they can do these
yeah.
bellowing calls that they make. Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
so it's interesting if Bigfoot does have a language,
Mm-hmm.
where's its hyoid at? And
Mm-hmm.
if it does have a hyoid and it does have a language, this isn't what I believe. I'm just saying these are
Right.
theories that could be out there, that maybe it's not related to the ape. Um,
Yeah.
is they don't have the ability to speak like we do. So there's so many things you have to think about the biology of these
Yeah.
creatures,
Yeah.
and like if they are flesh and blood, they can't be that complicated. They shouldn't. The way they, I guess, because we don't know what they are, how they
Mm-hmm.
work. It seems like. how do they do these things? But it's just because we don't know. A bit like a magic trick. When you know how to do the magic trick, it's so obvious. It's like,
Yeah.
oh right, okay,
Yeah.
that's how it works. Okay, so yeah, I think there's a lot of things we can look into to work out. Maybe that inhale and exhale. Maybe they have air sacs. Maybe that's what
Well,
gives them
exactly.
that.
And I wonder if that's because, they have such a short neck. I mean, their shoulders come like up high. And
Mhm,
so that puts everything like right here with in their chest. And you've heard their calls, and
mhm,
when people are on the side of the road at night, and you've heard the Sasquatch calls that they hear. Have you seen that video? It was a long time ago that this
right.
couple uh, broke down on the side of the road, and they're in their trailer, and they're hearing all these calls and screams and stuff like that, and they were a little scared but kind of excited to hear it also. But those, that could be miles away, and they're
Mhm,
hearing that sound like it's like traveling right to them. And so to have that force of verbalization is amazing, and I bet you it's exactly what you're talking about. I never
yeah,
heard about
yeah.
sex. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think so, to put that vibration out.
Hmm.
A lot of people have said that, that they've felt it.
Hmm.
Um, Another interesting thing is a lot of people that hear noises have been walking somewhere and had a feeling of don't take another step,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
they don't.
Yeah.
They turn round and then they hear something, and I've heard that several times, of that feeling of almost dread of like, just don't step, don't come any closer.
Hmm.
They can't hear anything or see anything at the time, but they know when they've left. They've heard a howl or a scream or something.
Hmm.
Um, it's just really hard, isn't it? Because I also think in forest and woods, the acoustics
That's
of
true. Yeah.
things traveling, and
Hmm.
how does sound change when it's traveling through woods and dense forest.
True.
So
The
it's hard
echo.
to know what's where, and what's doing what. I just try and keep on the, you know, I really don't know what these things are,
Hmm.
because I don't, and
Hmm.
so that's why I'm always going, well, it could be this, could be that, could be that, you know.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of possibilities that need to be looked into, that they could be,
Yeah.
and we could be totally wrong, we could be completely right. I mean, we'll
Yeah.
never know.
Well, and I really do feel we do know. We just don't know. I feel our military knows. I feel maybe certain corporations know. I do believe they've captured them and dissected them. That's just my opinion. But it's just kind of like UFOs. We know. There's people that know exactly
Mhm.
what's going on, exactly what it is, and they're keeping it quiet for a reason. Um, and um, I don't. And I think in the olden days, I think that they have killed some before, because you've seen
Mhm.
some really old pictures of, like, there was one hanging upside down that they had gotten. If the picture is true, it looked real. And there's pictures of people that I'm sure the indigenous tribes lived with them. They knew them, and who's to say that the Sasquatch didn't teach them medicinal purposes with plant life? Because you
Mhm.
hear that with stories of how they can heal with the herbs and stuff that they know about. And
Well, there's a recent story, isn't there, I'm going to see if I can find it, of a gorilla of some sort has healed itself, um,
a gorilla healed itself.
with using different plants. Let me
Hmm.
see if I can find this story. It's orangutan. Um,
And Michael has a question for you too.
okay, just find
Well, I already know that question. I'll let you answer your side.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm going to try and find this
Okay.
story.
So I'll kind of talk with Michael's question is, what do you and Daniela feel is the purpose and meaning of Sasquatch on Earth? And I feel that the Sasquatch are caretakers of the forest. And I believe in the olden days, in the ancient times, megalithic times, that the Sasquatch was a representative with humans. And I do believe that they were healers, and that they could heal uh, the people and teach them the medicinal purposes of what's in the forest, plant life. Um, and I know that they can heal with vibration. They have something to do with the trees, and I do believe that the trees are some sort of portal for them, because when I had that Sasquatch at my door, I live in a neighborhood on a corner with a light, and how would that thing be walking down the road trying to find my house? It had to, but I have this humongous tree right by my window, and I believe somehow they work with the trees as a portal access. Of course, this is just my theory. What do you think?
I really don't know.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
I have no idea. I mean, all I can think of is that if they are flesh and blood creatures, maybe, their existence would panic people,
Yeah.
scare people. I don't understand it though. I mean, they've been there as long as everything
I,
else has been.
I
Um,
think I would be scared, if a 8 foot tall creature, or taller, with broad shoulders as wide as me, 5'5", that would scare me a little bit.
but, but so would a bear.
Yeah, well, bear would scare me a little bit too. Yeah,
If we're just talking about an animal,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's perception, isn't it? And
yeah,
looking at it as another creature, say that's what it would just be
yeah,
to whoever.
yeah.
Um, a bear's scary, that can rip you apart. Mountain lions can
Mhm,
do that. I mean,
mhm.
there's no reason. We've got elephants, giraffes, we've got big creatures out there. So there's
Yeah,
obviously something different about this.
yeah.
Um, I don't know what or why. I mean, it's the biggest mystery in the world, and that's why I like kind of following it. Although it's you kind of hit a bit of a cul-de-sac with the
Yeah,
information that's out there. We're just going in and out, in and out, in and out.
that's the
Uh,
same information. Yeah. Do you know who Mike Woolley is?
who?
Mike Woolley. He actually was in a deer stand, and I actually interviewed him and talked to him personally. And he had a Sasquatch come up on him while he was in the deer stand,
I know who
and
you mean
he,
now.
yeah, and they made a movie. And he said he told me off screen that as he was looking through the scope, he had a mega scope. I don't know much about rifles, but his scope, he was pointing his gun to the Sasquatch, and right through his scope, he actually could see the eyelashes of the Sasquatch,
Mm,
and it snarled at him when he pointed the gun at him. And he knew then he could not shoot this thing because it had such human features. Um, he said he could see the pores on its face. He could see the eyelashes. He said they did have white. This one did have white of the eyes.
hmm
Um, and then they did chase him out. He said he was lucky to be alive. He felt, but if these Sasquatches want to take us out, they could take us out. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
they could have caught him. There's two of them chasing him. They could have picked up his truck and just probably tossed it
yeah.
aside. So they allowed him to get out, and it did change his whole life also. And but he said he said, Robin, I couldn't shoot it. It was not an animal. It was a human,
Mm.
some type of human. So
And I always think, the shoe on the other foot, are people not being killed and attacked because the Sasquatch is looking at a human going, wow, he looks like my cousin Freddie here. He's got similar, they look really like us. I mean,
Yeah,
there could be
yeah,
2 points of confusion for either side here of like, what are they? You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
who knows? But yeah.
True,
Yeah,
true.
Mike's story was a bit similar to Kerry's. Actually, he's been on Bigfoot Odyssey a few
Yeah,
times. It's like,
that's true.
and
Okay.
I think we had him on drawing Bigfoot as well.
Oh, did
With
you? Okay.
pretty sure, yeah,
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 he was such a
Jude.
nice guy. He was so nice.
Mm. Yeah, that affected him as well.
Hmm.
There's some real people, real genuinely affected people out there by this, that have seen this thing and
And he didn't want really. He spoke and talked in a conference or two, and then they had the film, and he did a really good job in the film. But he said he didn't really want the notoriety. He's just a simple guy, living a simple life. And he said he actually sent me a picture. I wish I would have saved it. It was on Facebook, and he says he doesn't share this picture with a lot of people, but he goes, there's only a few people he trusts to share information with, and he felt that I was someone that he could trust. And so he sent me a picture of a child he walked up on a child Sasquatch, and it back was to him, and so it looked like a chimpanzee, in the forest.
mhm.
And he goes, I've never shared, I just don't share certain things because I don't want all these people coming into the forest here and trampling around and hurting them. But he goes, yeah, I got a picture of that little child. He felt it was a Sasquatch. Then he backed away and went on his way.
Mm.
So it was really pretty cool. But it looked like it was just a little dark chimpanzee from behind. So
He's
yeah.
probably going to know, isn't he? If he's seen one before, he's going to have a fairly
Mhm.
good idea of what he's seen again.
Well,
Um,
thinking out, I think it is it Alabama he lives. I don't think you see
he's in
monkeys.
Mississippi. He's near Kerry, near where Kerry was.
Is it Mississippi? Okay, but
Mm.
you don't see monkeys in the forest, really.
Not around there. Not around there.
Um,
But I believe there's some in Florida. I believe there's like
yeah,
a troop of chimpanzees in Florida somewhere.
right. Yeah,
So,
and I feel that in each area is different quality of Sasquatches. I would never want to come across a skunk ape in Florida. Never. Um, I think Washington State has some pretty calm, at least Barbara Shoup. Do you know Barb Shoup?
mhm.
I forget the name of her YouTube channel. I followed her and I've talked to her a couple times, and hers is kind of fun. You know, they've gotten a few sightings, but they also mostly what hers is things happen. And
Yeah.
have you had people talk about orb lights around Sasquatches at night?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Seeing orbs.
it's kind of
There's,
anomaly.
yeah. I think there's a lot of orbs, though, generally. I think actually there
Yeah,
can be orbs are around a lot.
yeah,
Um, but who knows? At night, it's a bit difficult, isn't it, as well, with torches or lights and things like that. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, there's so many reports with so many details. It's really hard to know what
Hmm.
goes with what.
Hmm.
And I'm not trying to put a negative side on it, but there's so many things that can happen in one night. Are
Yeah,
they all connected or are they all separate? Um,
yeah, yeah.
it's a bit annoying because we don't know.
It's a bit annoying.
Yeah, I wish we knew more. I really did.
Yeah.
I did. I talked to 3 guys though in Arizona, and I talked to the first guy, Kevin, really nice guy, because he's communicating with these things. They're having some sort of mind speak, if you want to call it that.
Hmm.
I don't think it's a flowing conversation. He can ask something, he might have to wait a while to get the answer, and the answer isn't always a plain, you know, he kind of has to work things out. I mean, I don't know. It's been a while since I spoke to him, but anyway, he was having this experience, and he told me that he'd got involved with another guy who didn't live anywhere near there, but he was part of the BFRO, and
Okay.
they don't look into paranormal side of this subject. If they're given a report and it's got anything remotely spiritual or paranormal in it, they don't take it seriously. But this guy was prepared to come and meet him and have a look at his area, and he also experienced this mind speak. And Kevin's neighbour came out with him one day, and he also experienced it. So I had them all on together, all three of them, because
Wow.
they know each other, but you can tell that Chuck didn't really know Kevin, but he was prepared to come out, and I think he travelled like 80 odd miles or something to come out to Kevin's to see what was going on. And it's fascinating that these guys are having this communication with these things in their area that they are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I believe these guys are experiencing that. And this is the confusing thing about it, is it's just so there's so much going on here. It's really hard to work out what is going on.
What did
You know,
they say was said to them? Did they say or
I can't remember, but I think Kevin's first experience with it was that he was out there and he saw this snake, and he thought, I've never had snake before, or something. You know, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to eat it. And yeah, and this voice stopped him and said
really?
something like, "You don't need to kill that. You're not that
Oh,
hungry. You know, you
okay.
don't really need to do that." And that's where it started. So I think
Mhm.
he's asked them what they are, what they're doing here. It was a long time ago, and I've interviewed so many people, I can't remember the details, but it is probably the fifth. It might have been after you, actually, on
Okay.
my channel.
On
Um,
your channel?
I'll find it now and I'll put a link in the chat,
Okay. Okay.
and then we can do it from there.
Yeah,
Um,
I want to
but
watch that.
yeah, it is fascinating, and you know, I like I say, I believe in people, and I believe whatever's going on, these people are experiencing something. But in this case, to have three guys sat there telling me their own experience. I mean, one described
Hmm.
seeing these things appear like predator, like oil on
So
water,
yeah, yeah.
shimmering.
Yep.
Um, so
Actually,
and
there is that got caught by Barb Shoop. Um, she has a video of like Predator. You see this thing jumping down, and you can just see the distortion and of a silhouette, and
mhm,
then it jumps down, it crouches, it gets up, and it takes off. Somehow she was talking to another guy. She just had her camera focusing, and she saw out of the corner of her eye, and she goes, "What is that?" And she just focused her camera there, and they really didn't know what it was until they went back into the video. And
right.
so to me, that was the most amazing video capture you've ever seen of them cloaked. And I don't know if it was a Sasquatch. I don't know what it was, but something was cloaked like Predator.
I've heard it a lot. I mean, I've heard
Yeah.
that from. I'm just going to put a link in the chat. It was
Okay.
actually you were on 2 episodes after this one.
Okay.
Put that in the chat now.
And we don't
Um,
want anybody to go because I looked really dumb in that that episode.
I'll put it in the right one. Oh, no, you didn't.
I know. I'm just teasing you.
I put it in, but it's not showing up in here. But anyway, yeah. So that's a fascinating one to watch.
Okay. Yeah, I want to watch that one. That would be
Arizona
something.
Sasquatch is his name, is his channel.
What is it?
Arizona Sasquatch. Uh,
Okay.
I've probably put the details in the description. But I don't know if I can do this here.
I don't see it yet.
Yeah, it's weird. This was the monkey, the orangutan, and
Oh,
they've followed this thing, and it's healed itself using
oh, there he
various
is. Okay. So
different,
the monkey healed himself. The orangutan
yeah,
healed himself.
using plants and stuff.
How did they know that? They know that.
Well, they must be in an area where they've got them in a national park or something like that, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. In Zurich. Gunning Loser National Park. So, like I say, I put the link so people can, if they want to check it out, I put that
Yeah,
link in the chat.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I don't think my messages come up. It's maybe you
No.
can't put, if you do it
Okay.
this way though.
So go to Hidden Existence.
I've put it in now in our comments.
I think I got it.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's
Oh,
it.
hold
Yeah,
on.
that's in the chat now. Yeah, I think. Oh, mine's. I think what happens is you have to tick a box to let people put links in your live chat, because lots of people can just come in, take over your chat, start spamming it with their own website links or channel links. So that's why it stopped doing. That's why it's done that. Is to protect
Oh,
your
okay.
chat.
Because I was going to say I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, no, that won't happen. That won't happen.
Okay. Because my people don't do a whole lot of chatting, as you know. But thanks for doing that.
That's
Cool.
all right.
All right. Well, looks like we've done an hour.
Yeah.
Daniela, you probably want to go to bed because she's like, what are you, 7 hours ahead of me?
It's 11 a.m. almost.
Yeah.
PM, I mean. That's how tired I am.
It's your bedtime.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on. And Daniela and I are talking about maybe doing some things together, like doing some research on historical Sasquatch, maybe biblical Sasquatch, kind of maybe seeing what we might do some stuff together. And I think that would be fun.
Definitely.
And kind of see how it goes and just do something different. And then you don't have to work so hard, Daniela, on making your videos. This will be so much easier. And we can talk about different subjects too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it was very interesting. I did send you that picture that my friend Michael sent me in Chicago of the three lights. And then you sent me, was it Nevada?
Yeah, it's UFOs over Vegas, but he calls it something else now. Yeah. I think you sent the reply back to me by mistake, actually, thinking about it. I don't know if you sent the link to Michael.
Well,
I think you sent it back to me.
Okay, so Michael, we will send you that link because
I'll put it now in the chat, and then
because
Michael
it seems like this anomaly. And I lived in Vegas for 6 months, and it was very interesting because that was a time that the stealth bomber was coming out, and it rattled our homes, that stealth bomber, when it would go over us. And I've been to Area 51, on the outside of Area 51. It really seemed like nothing spectacular. And it was very interesting when I lived in Vegas. We had all the time helicopters flying over. And we would see the spotlights go in our backyard. And they were just like, I go, what are they looking for? Are they looking for a criminal? Should I go be locking the door? Or what are they looking for? And it was like almost every night there is something activity in the skies. And so I don't know why. I've never saw anything weird except on the strip, but that
There's a lot of stuff going on.
That is Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
It stays there. I've just put
Yeah.
this link up in the chat. It's in your. It looks like it's you've left the
Okay.
comment, but check that link out, Michael. I don't know if you've seen it before. The channel UFOs over Vegas. It's not called that now. He's just changed the name of it. It's called Steve Barone. He captures some incredible stuff. He's out there on his rooftop with his monocular vision camera, and the stuff he's picking up is incredible. And he knows the difference. He's been doing it for years. He knows the difference between helicopters and planes and stuff like that. The stuff he's picking up is very, very interesting. So definitely worth checking that out.
It is. I watched one of them, and it was just a light hovering. And I thought, well, that could be anything. And then all of a sudden it went bang. I mean, just went hugely bright, and it went into like this star for him.
Yeah.
To me, that's called a power up. That's when they power up. And I actually had that experience here because I go outside and look at the stars, and there was one moving really slow, and I said, power up. And it went boom, and then down, and then it kept going. I went, oh,
wow.
Was that a UFO? Or was that something that happened? But when I said power up, it did, and it went really bright, and then it went down. So you just have to look up to the skies. You don't know what you're
going on there.
Yeah,
definitely. He's picking up like 5 or 6, 7 lights that are all interacting with one another. That's not a plane. They're not planes.
No.
It's fascinating.
No. And I don't know too. I know that the United States, we have capabilities of doing things. So who knows if it's us or them, or we don't know yet. We don't know how much capability that the United States has, because they won't tell us, because they would be using it for war or whatever they do.
Speed though of these things, how they can turn so quick. I mean, that technology is just like, pretty incredible. But like you say, who knows? Who knows what we've got and what's out there? But I think there's something out there. There's something out there, definitely.
Yep. And we're glad they're here. If they can help protect the United States and the whole world, we want them to protect us from all that nuclear war. If seems like they're interested in our nuclear power, and if they can shut that down. And I think our satellites, I think they're very interested in the satellites because I do believe we have warheads on satellites, and we have lasers on satellites. And I think some of these fires are attributed to some of them, the satellites that we have. So it's becoming kind of a dangerous time, and we got to shut some of the stuff down because it's too harmful, in my opinion. So I'm hoping that
we don't need it.
The space aliens are taking them out. Take them out.
Yeah, hopefully, bring some peace.
I know, and no more chemtrails. No more. We want clear skies and fresh air. So if I ever get in power, I'm taking that out. That's one of my duties.
Yeah, I'll vote for you then. I'll vote for you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, you guys, we are going to peace out now. And thank you for joining us. Sorry we had technical difficulty. I think we lost some people, but that you guys can view this. So this will stay on my YouTube channel, right? That people can watch it again and again. Okay, you guys, peace out. We'll do it again sometime. So Daniela, if I do end stream, can I still talk with you?
Oh yeah, we can still talk.
Okay, all right.
Talk backstage.
Bye.
Bye everyone. Bye.
Bye.